Hey everyone, Jedediah Thomas, the Mind Master here. So, I wanted to talk about a brand new methodology that I came up with. And in the last couple years that I've been doing this work, I've come up with, I believe it's more than a dozen completely distinct and unique methodologies that nobody else has come up with. They're entirely invented by me to solve different problems, right? And individually, each technique, each methodology that I use is the absolute most powerful on the planet to fix whatever problem it is, whether that's removing trauma, shifting limiting beliefs, um, even some stuff on the spiritual side, like, working with stuff that science doesn't even know exists. And I wanted to make this video because I recently came up with another one. And as powerful as the other ones are, this is like an order of magnitude more powerful, which is ridiculous when you think about it. So, in order for me to explain what this is without being misunderstood, because at the moment I'm using kind of more common language for what I'm describing, and the common language doesn't really fully convey the reality that I'm working on different stuff than other people, right? So basically, the methodology is shifting your identity, right? But what I mean by identity is a very different thing than what other people mean by your identity. And it's not alter ego stuff. It's nothing of what you've seen. And it's very similar to when I say, shifting a limiting belief. Everyone says, "Oh, I know about belief shifting." You have no idea what a belief actually is because I'm operating on a fundamental part of the mind, the fundamental operating system of the mind that nobody even knows is there, much less that it can be changed, and I can change it extremely quickly. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll talk about kind of where this fits into the model of the mind that you've possibly seen me share before. So as you can see, we have the model of the mind. We have, beliefs, emotions, thoughts, actions, habits, lifestyle. Underneath of that, we have trauma, which can tag to, affect every layer. Now, most people, when they talk about beliefs, their, identity, any of this stuff, they're talking about the thought level, right? The biological level, the brain, if you will. Basically everything that we think is us, right, is operates on the thought level or the emotional level. The emotional level is our neurophysiology, our neurology, our brain chemistry, our hormones, all of that stuff, right? And most people think that this is what we are, right? A body with a brain, right? And that's what they think a human being is. And it's only part of the picture. And so when society uses words like beliefs and identity and whatnot, they're talking about an extremely surface level thing, right? Something that anyone could acknowledge and they say, oh yeah, I know what that is. I identify as, you know, well, nowadays it's getting weirder and weirder. I identify as a tree frog, or, hopefully you identify as a human being or whatever, right? Or you identify as someone who works a lot, or you identify as someone who, is maybe a parent or a child or a sibling or a spouse or something, right? You have your quote unquote identity, what, what people would consider that, right? And then you have your beliefs like, oh yeah, I believe in gravity, I believe this religion, I believe this and that, right? That's kind of like the very surface level layers that most people operate on, right? And then you could even say, okay, well, I have my purpose, right? Oh, my purpose is to, make money and raise my family. That's, it's all extremely surface level. It all originates from your brain, and that is not the deepest level by any means. So, getting back all the way over here, the belief level, and I'm starting to try and call it like code, right? The code of the mind. because it's when I say beliefs, it's just completely fundamentally different than anything anybody else is talking about. And it's so deep, nobody knows it exists. Science does not realize that this exists. And basically, what it is you could call it the essence of a person. If you're religious, you might consider it the soul. It's the fundamental component of who we are, and it is electrical in nature, and it is coded in binary, right? Zeros and ones, zeros and ones. And that's what that belief level is. So when I do a belief shift on someone, I'm changing a one to a zero or a zero to a one, right? Or multiple. And that actually changes the electrical substructure of your essence, right? And then that resolves emotional problems, physical problems, thought problems, all of this stuff, because everything basically relies on this level. This is the absolute most fundamental level of us as human beings. And then say you also have traumas that it can attach to that. That's probably another video itself, is that traumas originate on a higher level here, but then they actually tag to our essence. And so that's why nobody knows how to fix them, is because they don't know how to actually undo that. But anyways, there's also other spiritual stuff that can attach to your essence as well, which I was kind of talking about earlier, stuff that, science doesn't know exists. But anyways, we have kind of on this front part of the belief layer, right? The code of the mind. Basically, when you have enough zeros and ones, it starts to become self-aware, very much like how people are creating AI nowadays, right? So you have enough code to where it looks back at itself and says, hey, I exist. And that's something that is fundamental to the human condition. And we start to create deep identities about our existence, right? Not on a surface level of like, who am I? But it's like, you know, it's deeper than that. So for example, I am good. I am evil. I am, what could you say? I am ashamed. I am like it's something that you identify with your whole being, and you're like, oh, that's exactly who I am. I am not good enough, right? Or I am lazy, or I am whatever, right? It could be any number of negative things, and you're not really identifying with something that's intellectual so much as you're identifying with a specific vibration, and you're just putting a label on that vibration. So it's much, much deeper, much more profound than what most people would call identity, alter egos, beliefs, things like that. It is not even, I mean, it's related, but it's so far away from it, it might as well not be related. So in order to introduce the new methodology that I came up with, to actually change that identity level, that deep identity level, like the core of who you are energetically. Previously, I've been doing a lot of belief shifting, right? Just changing the zeros and ones, and it takes a lot of changes to write new code, right? So basically I'm a software coder of the mind, right? Or the software coder of the essence of a person, and I just go in there and start flipping digits. But it takes, like I said, a lot of switching to actually write out a new program. So what I figured out how to do is I could rewrite a massive amount of code with one shift in the form of an identity shift. And this like I said, this is like when I do a belief shift, it's an order of magnitude, several orders of magnitude greater than anything you've experienced. NLP, therapy, hypnosis, tapping, anything like that. It's powerful as heck. But this identity shifting is probably at least an order of magnitude more powerful than the belief shifting. Like that's how ridiculously powerful it is. And so for example, I have a client that I've done a lot of work on, right? and I normally remove limiting beliefs. I'll instill positive beliefs. I'll remove trauma. So we did a lot of work removing a lot of blocks, right? And basically their kind of stated outcome, their stated goal, what they wanted was, oh, I want to just be able to work. I want to love work. I want to just be pulled to work. And it seemed like no matter how many shifts we did, it just kind of like never happened that way. Not because of the shifts themselves, but because their truest, deepest desire is they didn't want to work. They would rather play video games. They would rather waste time, procrastinate, sleep, all of this stuff. And that's just what they wanted, right? Their will was pulling towards these things. And up till working with the identity level, I didn't really work on the will at all, right? Because in my mind, the will was very much in terms of like persuasion, right? Like you persuade someone to change their will and then they change their will. But with this methodology, I can actually directly change someone's will. So we did, I think it was just one an identity shift, and I can't remember what it was to. Maybe it was productive or, something like that along those lines. And their reality just completely changed. Like literally in the, 5-minute shift that we did, now that's like they're almost a workaholic. Like every time they try and, rest and all this stuff, they just they get pulled towards work, and that's what they wanted, right? And like their will changed to accommodate the new identity that we instilled. And this thing is just so ridiculously powerful because you think like there's this other program out there with alter egos, right? Like you create this fake person and you try and like become that person and think you're that person, but it's like it's almost like tricking yourself, right? It's almost like a thought exercise. But this literally changes your reality about yourself, like your deepest, most fundamental identity about yourself, and it's permanent, right? Like it doesn't snap back and you don't snap out of it. Like you become a completely new person, and it is so ridiculously powerful. I've done it a few on myself. I've done a few on different people, and it is it is ridiculously powerful at fixing a lot of stuff in a very short amount of time. So I'm excited to add that into my, suite of services that I offer, all my different methodologies to solve different problems. And hopefully you can see based on the diagram that I'm operating on levels that nobody else knows about. And I would, if you don't believe that, I mean, I can't force you to believe it, but just know I can do things that science doesn't know how to do because I know of levels that science doesn't know exists. And I know how to manipulate this level to a very scientific degree. And I'm extremely good at it. So hopefully this was insightful for you. I'm excited about this new methodology. Um, the things I'm going to do with this are um, just magnitudes greater than what I could do before. Just by removing bad stuff, it only gets you so far. So this is like one of the first true methodologies for actually adding good stuff that I have. So it balances out that equation, and then it pushes you to do things that you wouldn't normally want to do, assuming that you agree to having that identity instilled in you. So imagine, you feel terrible, you feel broken, or you feel whatever, lack of confidence, or lazy or whatever. We spend 5-10 minutes together on an identity shift. You get a completely new version of yourself, and that problem is completely gone. You feel whole, or you feel fixed, or you feel productive, or you feel confident, right? That's the power that has. And then I'm kind of thinking that I should start that more on the front end because it's just so ridiculous. You get immediate results. And then as you become the person that you want to be, then we can start to see, okay, are there any other errant beliefs that are still hanging out? Are there any traumas? Are there any spiritual stuff? And we can start fixing those as well. But it starts with becoming the right person, right? The issue with before is that people were the wrong person and I would fix all of the problems that they had, but they were kind of like still the same wrong person. But now I can actually make you into the right person and fix all of that other stuff. So that means your results are just faster, more powerful, more absurd, even more so than they were before. So thank you for watching. Once again, I am Jedediah Thomas, the Mind Master. Feel free to check out my free Facebook group link below, also other parts of the channel, and I also have a LinkedIn as well. So thank you for watching. I'll see you around. Bye.